ChiroHD features an advanced macro system. Under your system settings at the system level, you'll navigate to SOAP macros. This is where you can come to either edit our ChiroHD base macros or create your own. Each tab can be reordered, so the order number is here. It can be, the colors can change, text color can change, and the name of the tab can change. You can also add additional tabs by clicking Add Tab, giving it a name, and ordering it. Now, just to give you an idea of the way that this works, you have your regular macros, so the type is regular, and you have your list macros, which would look something like, where is it? Oh, here we go. List macros. So each button can have multiple different options within it. So if you have your referral specialist and you have several different specialists that you want listed here, and each of them has a different macro set, you can create that by making the macro a list view. Again, the regular macro just gives one option here. So you have the label, which is the text that appears on the macro button itself. You have the color. You can choose the color just by clicking in here. Behavior, you have add to current note or replace current note. If you notice that when you click a certain button, everything in the SOAP note box goes away and it's replaced, chances are you have this, you have that button set to replace the current note. So just be aware when you're creating your macros, it needs to be set to add to current note unless you want it to replace what's in the box. And then line options, you have put on a new line or add to current line. If you add to current line, the options will be placed in a row. If you have it put on a new line, the options will be placed one on top of the other. And then the output options, you'll leave this on macro clickable output for now. And if you need to copy and paste a macro, you can switch to code view, select the text, copy it, and you can always paste it into a different, switch to code view, into a different macro, and it will populate that same macro set. So you can always build it once and paste each time. Now, walking through the different types of macros here, we have just the regular text. So anything that you see in white is just text that I have typed in here, or that the person who built this typed in here. And then anything in blue or another color is an advanced macro. So our list of advanced macros, I'm just gonna bring this down to a new line. We have data here. We have the provider full name, patient's full name, patient first name, last name, he, she, they, his, her, their, him, her, them, etc. And then the appointment date and current date. This is the data macro type. So for example, the full name, first name, that's a data macro. However, a symptom changes macro, you'll see that this is select, a select macro type. That means that I can choose one of these options and I have them separated by commas. Now the nice thing about creating this advanced macro builder, I'm just gonna type a few options here. If you have a semicolon delineated list, let me just do that. If you paste that into this box, it will create those options for you, and it'll capitalize for the option label, and then whatever is in option text, this is what will be populated into the note when you click on the button. So if I remove these options, okay? So the macro type, primary color, if I change this to pink, for example, you'll see that the option label changes on the macro itself. The text to show to user when selecting for your options, this is the label of the pop-up window that will pop up. And then option label is what's on the button. Option text is what will be populated. So if I save this, you'll notice that the color changes here. And then when I come through, I'm just gonna save. When I come into test mode, go through this, so you can see symptom changes, better, the same, or worse. I'm gonna say it's the same. Pain scale is 2, and the chief complaints are low back pain and upper back pain. And this will give you an example of what is populated when you go through those macros. I'm going to come out of test mode and just walk you through the other macro types that we offer. So the first is select. Select will allow you to choose one item out of a list. MultiSelect will allow you to choose multiple out of the list. So in your subjective note, for example, your chief complaints, this is MultiSelect because you want to be able to choose headache, neck pain, and upper back pain, not just one out of the list. Now, if you need to add options, if you're using our macros and you want to add options, you can always just add those options and add in your text yourself. Okay, so the next macro type is narrative. Narrative will open up a text box that will allow you to type in a narrative. Input is the same thing, but it's used for smaller blocks of text. So narrative would be if you need to like type a paragraph into a specific place in your note. Input would be if you just need to enter in a little bit of information. Data is this page here. Random, this is, for example, if you have like 4 different wellness notes and you want the system to randomly choose one out of the 4 each time you press the wellness note builder, for example, or the wellness note macro. You can have statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, statement 4, and if I save that here, I have this option here. When I'm in test mode, click random, it's going to choose one of those random statements each time. So you'll see it's choosing one of the random statements to input. Next macro is number range. So this is if you want to choose between 1 and 10, for example. Next is a shortcut. This will take you to their pregnancy info if they're pregnant. I'm sure more shortcuts will be added. A date picker is just going to open up a date picker and then input that date. Number pad is so that you can easily enter in numbers. Spine is going to show an entire spine and you can choose certain segments. Add that one in there so you can look at it. And then finally, other macro, this does not do anything currently. We will be adding other macros as time goes on, but it currently does nothing. So save that. I'm going to save, and I'm just going to show you in test mode. So you have 8 out of 10, and then here's the spine. Here's what the spine looks like, and you can just choose what was palpated or what was adjusted, and it will show you the list. So again, this is just sort of nonsense, but that's how the macro system works, and I'm actually just gonna go through and delete this. So now, last thing, when you create those macros at the system level, within your actual location, there's a configuration, so under Office Configuration, you have this Use System Macros option. If you want every location in your franchise to use the system level macros, you'll have them choose this option. If you want them to start with your macros as a baseline and make changes, you can click Initial Setup, Soap Note Macros. You can switch to location-specific macros, copy the macros from the system, overwrite any macros that were created for this location. I'm going to click no just because I don't know if there have been changes made in here. And then once you're using location-specific macros, you can come in here and make changes. The only thing is that if you make changes at the location level, if there are changes made at the system level, those will not be automatically reflected unless you copy macros from the system. And if you copy macros from the system, you'll lose any location-specific changes that you've made. So just keep that in mind before you make any more changes. All right, that is everything, and just an example coming to the Soap Note screen. When you go through, your notes are here. You can click through. Changes are better. Pain scale is 8 out of 10. Chief complaints. And that's how it populates. And then when you come into the Soap Note, you can just click on individual options and change as you go. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Feel free to look at our support widget and search the word soap, and you'll see an article all about soap notes. And we will be happy to help you if you have any questions at all. Thanks so much.